Society. Red Rose Radio.
Rod, have we got this Pratt's phone number? Well, let's have it then. Give us the phone number. Hurry up. You'll have it dark, Rod. Southport 20089. I've told you before, Mike, you filth. I now want the whole of Lancashire to ring you and tell you just to get it across your face. Give us that number again. Right, anyone that wants to talk to a cretin, ring Southport 20089 now. Mike is awaiting your calls. If it's engaged, don't worry about it. Ring quarter of an hour later. If you're still ringing at 6 in the morning, I for one won't worry. Southport 20089. Talk to the most stupid man in the world. Ring a Pratt 20089 Southport. Ring now. The code is 0704. I'll do Nick.
Hi there, Alan. I'd like to talk about videos, please. Pornographic videos, to be precise. I don't think people should have access to these videos because they can easily motivate the crime of rape. I think all videos of this nature should be banned. What do you think?
What evidence do you have that they motivate the crime of rape?
Well, it's been known that rape's been caused because of...
No, there's no evidence to that effect.
Potential sex rate is shortly establishing
like mitigation of their offence, but it's never been established that that is the case. Do you think Mary Whitehouse has ever been guilty of rape?
I declare to land sex rape.
Do you think Lord Longford has ever been guilty of rape?
No.
Those two people must have seen more pornographic movies than anybody.
Well, you do admit that they can cause rape.
I haven't actually admitted it. Do you admit it?
Yeah, I do.
And before I start admitting things, you say I want to be convinced. I want evidence. It's cynical of me, I know. But I want evidence. I don't have any evidence. I've asked you to provide me with some. To date, you haven't. Would you like to try again?
Well, it's been in the papers that...
Oh, it's been in the papers! Oh, well, that's it then, isn't it? If it's been in the papers, we all believe it. But papers aren't evidence.
They're good enough evidence for me.
Then you're a jerk. How do... Philip.
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk about astral travel, please. Hello?
We heard you.
Well, yesterday I was astral travelling, right? And you know that fella that was on yesterday? You know he said that he came to 2 tunnels? Well, I came to the same 2 tunnels.
Hold it. He never said he came to 2 tunnels.
Well, he said he arrived, he was in a tunnel and he arrived...
No, he didn't. He never said that. He said he met a woman when he was astral travelling, and she said to him, when you die, you'll go down a tunnel. And when you go down the tunnel, there'll be 2 turnings off it. So, you're making it up. How do Linda?
Well, Alan, I'd like to congratulate on giving telephone numbers out, because somebody up about 4:30 last night.
Did you? Did they get annoyed?
Yes, they did.
Oh, good. Well, we'll be giving some more out later, don't worry. I'm sure.
What time about?
Well, it depends what time we get the Pratts on. All right.
Yes.
Well, there you are, Linda. Your wish is my command. We have just had a caller that no one will have even heard, and he is definitely a Ringer Pratt number. I suggest if you've got nothing better to do in the early hours of the morning for the next couple of months, you might like to ring Southport 20730. There's a person at that number purporting to be called Stephen who likes to use the F word on the radio. I think it makes him feel manly. And let's face it, he does need all the help he can get. You might like to ring him up and discuss his potential homosexuality. You might enjoy that. There again, you might just want to greet him in the way he obviously likes to be greeted, with the F word. There again, you might want to blow a whistle, or some other quaint introduction. But just in case you didn't get the number, 'tis Southport 20730. The Renter Pratt number for tonight. Southport 20730. Do Paul.
Hi, Alan. I want to talk about Pet Shop Boys. Paninaro. Oh. The Corsica.
Well, they have more intelligence than you, but so also does the monkeys we were just talking about. How do Jason?
Alright, Alan, I want to talk about hanging and should it be brought back. and I'd like to talk about it because I think it's...
Then get on with it.
Yeah, it's very important in today's society.
Get on with it.
I found that rapists and child molesters...
Excuse me, take your time.
Child molesters and...
Child molesters what?
and evil murderers like Mara Hindley and...
Well, before we go any further, will you tell me how we can have a murderer that is not evil?
Yeah, okay, but I mean, people like Mara Hindley and Ian
I'm
Brady...
sorry, would you like to answer the question I've put to you? You may prefer a different question.
Yeah, you could have a crazy one, couldn't you? A
Oh, I
psychopath.
see. So you'd be perfectly happy, people who are psychopathic and commit murder, you'd be perfectly happy for them not to be put to death when found guilty?
No.
You want them put to death as well?
Yeah, well...
Then why did you use the qualitative statement, evil murderers?
Oh, I felt like it.
Yes, but what did it mean?
Well, they've got to be something
Well, I'm
wrong
sorry.
with them if they're going to go and
I'm
commit.
sorry, Paul. What you said? Sorry, Jason.
There's gotta be something
Jason, shut up. It's very difficult when you're immature and you've got a late night because you're not at school tomorrow. I know it's difficult for you, but try anyway. You said evil murderers.
Yeah.
That implies that there are various different kinds of murderers, some of which are not evil. Describe to me a not evil murderer.
There isn't one.
Then you're a prat. How do? Line one, whoever Rod said. Andy. Hello, Andy.
Hello, Alan. Can I ask you a question, please?
You just did. Do you want to ask another?
How do you know...
Do you want to ask another?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
How do you know if people ain't going to swear on your programme?
I have a process that allows me to edit the swear word if they do. So I don't know and I don't need to know.
I was going to say, because it's wondered that for ages, like, in case people might swear at you.
Well, they do sometimes. Indeed, Stephen from Southport did a little earlier. That's why he is this evening's Ringer Prat. His telephone number, if you're interested, is Southport 20730. Ring Stephen and make him angry. How do Mike? Mike's fed up, and we're fed up of him. How do Brian?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir. Is that Mr. Beswick?
Who were you expecting?
Yeah, I was expecting for.
Good all night. How do you off, please?
Yeah, of course. Can you hold on?
Yes, I'll have to, won't I, really? Not much else to do at this time of night. Diddly? Where does he keep his radio? 3 doors away. Ah, here we go, we've got him.
Right, sir. Since this deregulation occurred, you know, I'm just an ordinary working John Tom in the street. And, when this deregulation of buses, there are just no buses in Liverpool here.
None?
No,
Well,
very few and far between.
I was in Liverpool today and I saw loads of buses.
Yeah,
One of them nearly drove
One
of them nearly drove into the side of my car.
Yeah, they don't stop at the right places.
Oh, well,
And,
sorry about that.
The fares here. You see, this sort of thing is for the people. It's not to make profit, for God's sake.
Why should it not be to make profit?
Well, it's for the people's benefit.
I'm sorry, I don't care if there's never another bus. I've got a car.
Well, I haven't.
Well, fine, that's your
I haven't
problem.
got a car.
That's
I haven't
fine.
got the money to buy a car.
Well, that is your problem.
I've got to wait
Yes,
for a bus.
excuse me, that is your problem. Why should I pay for you to travel by bus?
That's not the right thing, actually.
What's not the right
That
thing?
is not the right thing.
Well, tell me what you
The
mean.
bus service here and the railway
Excuse
service
me.
is for the benefit of the people, surely.
No. I
For
don't.
God's sake, it is.
Well, for God's sake, it might be. I haven't got a God, so I don't need his sake. Why should I pay for you to go to work?
I don't want you to pay for me.
Well, who are you expecting
I
to
don't
pay
want you to
for?
pay for me at all. I want to pay
Excuse
a
me.
legitimate price for a bus.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Who are you suggesting pays then?
Who am I suggesting?
Yeah.
I'm suggesting the government should pay.
Well, who pays
Because
then?
this
Excuse
is
me, Brian.
for the people.
Brian. Where do you think the government gets its money?
Oh, listen, old son.
Where does the
That is a
government...
nonsensical... I was
Brian, it may be a nonsensical question.
I was
but
listening to Norman Vlad Tebet here on the
I'm
answer
sorry,
question.
Brian, don't name a politician. You're not allowed
Yeah,
on
I'm
this
sorry
program.
about that.
Don't be sorry, just don't do it again.
Yeah.
Now, will you tell me where the government gets its money from?
The government gets the money. Where do they get the money for Polaris?
Brian,
Yeah.
let me stop you again. Let's not play silly games.
I'm not playing a silly game.
Brian, where does the government get its money from?
I think that a bus service...
Brian, where
Yes,
does
sir.
the government get its money from?
From the people.
From what
Taxation.
people? Oh, from taxation. So when I pay tax, you think some of that tax that I pay should provide you...
Should subsidise.
Well,
service.
Brian, I don't want it to.
Well, I do.
Well, yes, I know. Well, all right.
Let me explain
In that
something.
case, Brian, I want your money when you pay tax to supply me with free Perrier water.
Let me explain something.
No, I think I'm entitled to free Perrier. I have to buy my Perrier water. Do you know this is a scandal? I mean, water, for crying out loud.
That's nonsense,
I have to
isn't it?
buy Perrier water.
Listen,
Are you going to start paying tax so I can have free Perrier
That
water?
is absolute nonsense, isn't it?
Well, I rather
That's
feel the
just
same about
dodging
you.
a complete
It's not
issue.
dodging anything. Why should I pay for you to travel to work?
Why should you pay for me? I'm not asking you to pay for me.
I thought
I'm
you were.
asking for the government to pay for me to go.
Okay, so are
That
you
should
happy
be.
then? Are you
This
happy
should
then?
be.
Look, I'm sorry, Brian.
Yep.
Do you drink Perrier water?
Not really.
Not really. Is that a yes or a no?
I don't even
I
know
have
what it
trouble.
is.
You don't know what it is, so the chances are you don't. Right, so you don't drink Perrier
No.
water. Right. Well, I'll be happy for you to have a free bus service.
I'm not asking for a free bus service.
I'll be happy for you to have a subsidized.
explain something
I'll be
here?
happy for you to have a
moment, sir.
I'll be happy for you to have a subsidized bus service if you'll be happy for me to have subsidized Perrier water.
Can I explain
Is that a
something
deal?
here? Can
Is
I
it a
explain
deal?
something here?
No, you can't. You haven't the ability. Will you answer the
I have
question?
the ability, for
Is it a
God's
deal?
sake.
Well,
In
make-
pars pro
listen-
toto.
Yes, very good. Latin's wonderful. I'm not a Catholic anymore, so I don't need it. Brian, here we go again with the question. I'll be happy to agree for you to have subsidised buses if you'll agree for me to have
Yeah, okay, I'll
subsidised
buy you a
Perrier.
double scotch with that.
I don't want a
Make you
Scotch.
happy,
No,
doesn't it?
no, I don't want to be made drunk.
Will that make you happy?
No, it won't.
You know, you
I'm-
keep dodging around.
Brian.
You know, I'm not a
Brian.
bloody idiot, let's face it.
Well, why are you pretending to be?
I'm not pretending to be.
Well, you are pretending to be or you're
I'm not
not.
pretending to be anything.
Which is it? You're
What
either-
I'm trying to
Look,
explain to you is this.
Brian,
Yes, sir.
when you can convince me.
I'm convincing you now if you listen.
No, you're not convincing me. You're attempting to, Brian. You're not convincing me, I
But
promise.
just a moment, can I say something here?
Yeah, try good night. No, you don't want to say that. Okay.
Can I say something here?
Yes, the only thing you can say at this junction is good night. If you want to carry on, you'll listen. So you either say good night or you
I'm
listen.
not saying good night. I want to explain something.
Are you going to listen or are you going to say good night?
I'm going to listen.
Okay. Will you attempt to convince me, I won't speak again, but you convince me why I should pay tax so that you can travel to work cheaper than you do now?
I'm not, look, just a moment. When this deregulation occurred,
Brian,
Yeah.
Brian, you've only got one job to do now, and that is to convince me that I should
But I'm
pay...
trying to convince you, for God's sake.
Brian, I don't want to hear any more about God, nor do I want to hear any more about deregulation. All I want is
well,
a...
this
all I
is
want...
like,
Brian,
I need
Brian,
pumps also, doesn't it?
David.
Hello, Alan.
Yes?
I'd like to talk about nuclear disarmament, please.
Go on.
What would happen if there was a total nuclear disarmament? Russia wouldn't need to bomb America because America wouldn't have any bombs to bomb Russia with.
Does that make sense to you? Because it doesn't make much sense to me.
Well, why did America fight in Vietnam? To keep an advantage point to attack Russia.
That's not quite true.
Why not?
Well, Vietnam, there were no American nuclear bases in Vietnam.
Yeah, but they could go there, same as the Philippines now, and attack Russia, same as in Cuba. The Russians need.
Well, just a minute. We seem to be talking about two different subjects here. You said you wanted to talk about nuclear weapons. The Americans were in Nam. They were not defending any nuclear installations. They had no nuclear installations in Vietnam.
Well, Vietnam was an advantage point to the Americans.
Well, it had various military facilities that were a vantage point to the Americans, yes. What's that got to do with it?
That is the same with Cuba. Now, if we
Well, would
didn't-
you like to... What do you mean, that is the same with Cuba? You'll have to explain yourself, because
Well, the Russians
these sweeping, all-consuming statements mean nothing to me.
Russians wanted to keep Cuba communist because it's near enough to America.
The Russians have got Cuba communist, if that's your concept of it.
Well, if they wanted to plant bombs, nuclear bombs there, they could, and it's near enough as to America as we are in West Germany.
Well, some time ago, in the 60s, Russia attempted to put nuclear devices on Cuba, and there was a showdown that people said at the time, and still say, brought us to the brink of the third nuclear war, when Khrushchev and Kennedy stood toe-to-toe and hammered it out and prevented it. But this takes us no further forward. You want to argue in favour of nuclear disarmament. You're
Well,
not actually doing so at the moment.
If there wasn't any, there wouldn't be the Berlin Wall.
Well, what makes you say that?
Because-
They didn't build the Berlin Wall because of nuclear weapons. They built
No.
the Berlin Wall because they didn't want the Eastern Bloc peoples mixing with the Western peoples. That's why the Berlin Wall was built.
Yeah, but
Nothing to do with nuclear weapons.
there is a border that says you can't go into Russia. And you can't fly into Russia.
Well, there's a border that says you can't fly into England.
Yeah.
What's that got to do with nuclear weapons?
If we didn't have nuclear weapons, who would want to bomb us? And
Who
who would want to bomb America if they didn't have the nuclear weapons to fire at Russia?
You're talking gibberish.
No.
Well, let's hear it again then, man. Always fit for a laugh. Go on.
Well, if Russia had nuclear bombs
Yes.
and they were using it as a nuclear deterrent,
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, because you really haven't got the words to express your point of view. Do you think that nuclear weapons are what makes Russia want to attack? Well, that is a difficult one, isn't it?
I was just listening to it on radio.
Then turn it off and ring me back.
We'll make you laugh. We'll make you smile. You know you had some fun on the red road. 301.
You don't believe in reincarnation or anything?
That is true.
You don't believe in it?
It is true that I do not believe in it.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm not too sure about that, and I think you're a bit wrong there. I reckon
Why isn't the world crowded then? I mean, do dogs come back, and cats, and little ants?
No, it's in the second world.
Well, whatever worlds it's in, has it got ants in it?
Well, yeah, sure it is. I'm sure that you'll be turned into a huge buffalo or pig or something when
Well, I
you...
may well be, but I want to know what happens to ants. When I tread on half a dozen ants,
Yeah.
is that just a temporary thing when they go... Is that just temporary?
Oh, it could be.
And what do? They come back somewhere else as another ant?
Well, it could...
No wonder there's so many of the damn things.
No, it could come back as anything, couldn't it?
As anything?
Yeah.
So when they tread on an ant, it could come back as a what?
It could come back as a human being.
Well, where do they get all the body flesh from?
Well, it's sort of a... It just comes every
it
time.
must only be... If you're telling me that these humans and ants and dogs and cats are recycled, then there must only be a certain amount of flesh in the world at any given time.
Well, no, there's certain gases that mix together, put in water and different solutions that can make cells.
Who mixes them?
Well, the creator.
Oh, so the great creator says, "What were you last time you were down there?" And he says, "Me, I was a ant." "Okay, what do you want to be?" "I want to be a buffalo." "Bring 3 jars of the sand, Daddy! We're doing a buffalo from an ant." "Oh, no, not a buffalo from an ant again. Oh, crap, not that again. Picking all the time. I've got a date tonight." Don't talk stupid. Goodbye. How do... David.
Hello?
Yes.
It's regarding the phone prop line.
All right.
Yes, I was on before.
Good. How do Mike?
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk about religion, please.
Go on.
Well, I don't think that the church should persecute witches just because they worship other gods. I mean, they don't persecute Hindus, do they?
They don't believe that witches do worship other gods. Those churches that do attempt to restrict witches, rather than persecute, because it was a little harsh for this day and age, in Europe at least, but those churches who do wish to discourage witches believe that the witches they're discouraging are involved in black magic, which is devil worship.
Well, there's hardly any. I mean...
Well, whether there are hardly any or not, that is their belief. Whether that belief is well-founded or ill-founded, that is what they believe. That is why they're doing it.
Well, I mean, I know a few people who've had a lot of hassle off the church. And
Well, I know lots of people who had hassle off the church. What's that got to do with it?
I mean, because they're witches, and they don't worship...
How old are these witches? You sound about 19. How old are these witches?
These witches are about 24.
24? Well, who cares? They're just children playing games. Goodbye. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Alan. I'd like to ask, when are you doing your next argue with Alan in the Lowland area?
I don't know. How do Chris? Another one.
Hello.
Yes?
A bit of advice.
Go on.
I've just come home from work, and the bathroom is full of excretion and urine from the drains. It's all come up the drains. What can I do about it?
Get a peg on your nose.
No, come on, seriously. It's come all up the carpet, into the hall, into the kids' bedroom.
Well, we need to find out what's caused it.
It's the drains.
Well, obviously
going
it's
off
the
in
drains. It
the
doesn't fell out the loft, does it?
Right.
Obviously it's the drains. We need to find out whether it's been caused by a malfunction of your system, whether it's a malfunction of the water authority's system. I suggest first of all that you report the matter.
Yeah, we reported it in November.
And it's been left like that ever since?
Yeah, they come today.
What do you mean you reported it in November? What did you report in November?
That the drains were blocked and that it all stunk inside the flat.
Now, whose drain was it that was blocked?
There's 4 flats and it was ours and the ones above us.
And? That doesn't tell me whose it is. Was it reported to your landlord? Was it reported to the local authority? Was it reported to the people whose drain it is?
It was reported to the council.
And are they your landlord? You really don't answer the question, do you? Saying it's reported to the council. If you're in a private flat, reporting things to the council is a bit pointless.
No, it wasn't. No, it's a council flat.
Well, I don't know that, do I? I'll need to be told. So when I ask you the question, answer the damn thing.
Right.
What I suggest you do is get in touch with the local authority tomorrow. I'll do, Peter.
I'd like to talk about turkey burgers.
I'm sure you would. I'm sure you find them fascinating. Hello, Nick.
Hello, sneaky lizard, Popeye wet sailor, here we go.
We don't want all that gibberish. How do, Andrew?
How do, Alan? I'd like to talk about astral travelling, please.
Go on, then.
Well, last week I was astral travelling, and I was doing it with a friend, right?
I don't know whether it's right or not. It's no good checking with me.
Right, and,
How can you astral travel with a friend?
Oh, we found a way.
Well, would you like to tell me that way?
No, that's not what I rang up for.
Well, that's what I want to know. So you've got to overcome that obstacle first.
Well, we sort of met at a seance.
You met at a seance?
Yeah.
When you say you met
Yeah.
astro-travelling wise? Or
No, we were at a seance.
I see, yes.
And we met. So we decided we
I asked you how you did it. I'm not interested in what decision you made. It's fairly obvious that you decided to meet up astro-travelling. I'm asking you how you met astro-travelling.
We linked hands and both concentrated and just astro-travelled.
Now I know you're lying. You haven't the ability of concentration. How do, Mark?
How do you know?
What do you want?
I'd like to talk about the state of some public lavatories, Alan. Well, there's some public lavatories, you go into them and there's...
I don't want to know that, really. I've just had my supper. How do, Billy?
I'll do, Alan. I'd like to talk about video films.
Then do so.
Well, I don't think that watching video films causes murders and things like that. I'd like to know what you thought about it.
I'm not bothered.
Well, don't you think it makes any difference watching video films?
It can do.
Yeah, what's worse than being raped by Jack the Ripper, Alan?
Good night. How do, Stephen?
Hello, can I talk about witchcraft, please, Al?
You may.
Well, have you heard of this reverend, this vicar man on Pendle Hill? Well, he's going to mount a cross on Pendle Hill. And that's to get rid of all the witches and devil worshippers, and I think it's a complete waste of time.
Why is it a waste of time?
Because these people do not have this beliefs in Christianity anyway. So why would they be afraid of a Christian cross?
Well, he's not suggesting, I'm sure, he's not suggesting that it is they that would be afraid of a cross. Perhaps what he's suggesting is that it'll be the devil that's afraid and he won't turn up to their meetings.
Yeah, but witches don't worship the devil anyway.
Well, perhaps the vicar thinks they do.
Well, it's not going to drive them out.
Well, I don't know whether it's going to drive them out or not, and I don't know whether that is his objective. I don't suppose his objective is to harm the people, but to discourage the devil from attending.
Well, he said that he wanted to get them all out, and he's been getting threats and everything off everyone.
Everyone? I haven't threatened
all the
him.
practicing Satanists and witches that live
What do you mean, a
in Pendle Hill.
Satanist? Surely a Satanist is someone who worships Satan.
Yeah, he does.
He? How do you know it's a he?
Well, he or she does. But witches don't.
How do you know?
Because I'm a practicing witch myself.
Why are you practicing? You're not very good.
No, practicing as in, I don't just do it in theory.
Then what do witches do? Or what do you do as a witch?
I worship the Roman gods.
The Roman god?
Yeah, the pagan gods.
Fine. What do you do? How do you worship this Roman god?
Through ritual.
Well, obviously. Are you going to be a little more explicit?
Well, I use it really to...
I don't care why you use it. I'm asking you about the ritual.
Well, I just like burn candles and that.
You burn candles?
Yeah.
Are you some kind of prat?
No, it's
You burn candle, that's it, you sit there burning candles. What do you hope to achieve?
prosperity.
Prosperity?
And,
How can you have prosperity when you're spending your pocket money on candles? Get off, you pleb. How do Richard?
How do Alan?
How old are you, Richard?
18.
18?
Yeah.
How long have you left school, Richard?
2 years.
How many O-levels did you sit?
1.
1. Did you get it?
Just about.
What year were you born?
1968.
Peter?
I'd like to talk about nationalised industries if possible, Alan.
Go on.
Well, I think that nationalised industries are a good thing if they're run properly, because I think that they allocate resources among the community properly.
Well, Peter, there may be some people who would argue that nationalised industries, no matter how well they're run, are not acceptable. Other people would argue that there are no nationalised industries that are run properly. I can only think of one. How many can you think of?
Well, they are run properly. I must admit that I think there are very few that run.
Well, I've said one. You can't get any fewer than one, can you, really?
I think that it depends on your. I think that it depends on your definition of efficiency, really.
Well, let us hear your definition.
Well, if it runs in the interest of the community, then it is efficient.
Well, no, that is not necessarily so. Just because it's doing something for the community, it doesn't mean it's doing it A, right, B, efficiently, and C, using its resources in the most practical way, which I suppose could come under the heading of efficiency.
It is, yes, if it is allocating its goods as much as possible to the community's need, then it is acting in an efficient way.
Well, I debate that. I would argue that that is not necessarily so. It is certainly possibly so, but it's not necessarily so. If we've got 10 people doing a job that can be done by one, then perhaps they're wasting community resources rather than directing them properly.
Well, could I see what your definition of efficient was then, please?
Well, it really isn't important what my definition is it?
No, certainly, but I'd just be interested to hear it.
My definition of efficiency is the lowest possible degree of wastage. That means wastage of manpower, wastage of energy, wastage of raw materials, wastage of time.
But surely, if you have got...
Well, name me an industry that is working well, that is nationalised. Name me 2. You said there were not many. Name 2.
2 industries that are working well that are not nationalised.
That are nationalised.
That are nationalised.
2 national industries that operate, in your view, efficiently.
British Airways.
That's not a national industry.
Well, not anymore, no.
No, not anymore. When it was losing money by the billions of pounds a year.
Yeah, but I mean...
we used to have to give it money every year. Is that really efficient?
Well, it is if it's allocating the resources to the community correctly.
Well, is it allocating the resources to the community? How many times did you fly Concorde? How many times did you fly Concorde? You may laugh, but you're saying it's allocating the resources to the community. Well, I don't know many people of the community that used their resources, to be honest.
True, yeah.
Now, if you're saying they paid a lot of people wages, well, yes, they did, but those people could have been doing considerably more productive work, either making a profit for the nation, or making a service, or providing a service that the nation needs. Certainly, helping Concorde fly empty to America is hardly an efficient use of resources.
Well, maybe.
Well, we've dealt with that one. Let us deal with another one. We asked you for 2. You've not given us 1 yet, so let's go for another.
So we're going for another. The National Coal Board.
The National Coal Board is hardly efficient. It's not made money yet. There is a press release today that they should be able to make a profit next year.
Yeah.
Well, we're all looking forward to that. Let's get on to another one. Let's try another one.
Another one.
Isn't it quiet?
It is.
Well, I thought they'd have been tripping off your tongue at least. How about the General Post Office? That's the only one. The health service isn't even efficient. They've got far too many administrators. Gareth.
Hello, Al.
What do you want?
I like to talk about golf, right?
Golf right? What is golf right?
Because listen to it, Chelsea, and you criticise cerebral steros by calling cerebral clava. Why was this?
Well, it was quite humorous. A lot of people laughed.
Well, why? What's up with golf like? Have you got something against it?
I have nothing against golf other than it's totally and utterly crass boring, but taking the mickey out of Savvy Balaclava's name is hardly me impugning golf, is it?
Well, why is it so boring, like?
I have no idea. You'd think they'd do something about it, but they seem not to have done.
Well, I think golf's quite good, like.
Quite good like what?
Well, it's better than football, for instance.
Having your toenails pulled out by an Alsatian's better than football.
Better than rugby
Now you're being silly.
and cricket.
Now you're being totally stupid. Stephen.
Hello.
Bed, Stephen. No children on the programme tonight. Thank you very much. Hello. How do, Scott?
I'd like to talk about the singing and the flow hall for ID, please.
Go on.
Well, my mum gave you a request, you know, for your 18th birthday, and you said that you'd read it out Monday. No way, that you sing it after your show.
Go on.
And you said you'd read it and that, because she gave you it and a piece of paper to one of the bar staff, and he said to give it to you, and she said you're going to let you read it. Have you lost it?
I've no idea.
Well, within your car, have you left it in your car or anything?
I've no idea. One dedication is difficult to remember when one has so many. Would you like to describe on what it was written, for example?
It's like a sheet of paper. And
a sheet of paper? Well, that is novel.
Yeah, but do you have lots of sheets of paper?
No, I just have the one. Most of them send them in chipped in blocks of stone.
Okay.
So you wouldn't have thought I'd have lost the one sheet of paper I've received this century. Good night, cretin. Hello, Stephen.
Hello. I'd like to talk about football.
Stephen.
Yes.
Go to bed.
What?
How do, Tony?
Hello, Alan.
Yes.
I'd like to talk about the milk race.
About the what?
Milk race.
Oh, aye. Are they any relation to the human race?
I am. You know Mark Walsham?
Why are you trying to talk with a deep voice?
What do you mean?
It's a simple enough question.
Say it again, please.
No. How do, line 6, Lee?
Hello?
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about election. I think 16-year-olds should be able to vote.
Why?
Because I think they should because they go to work and I think it affects them.
It certainly affects them, but I asked you why they should be allowed to vote.
Because I think they should decide what goes on in the country. Why they have to because it affects them.
Why should they be entitled to decide? They're not old enough and mature enough to make a proper reasoned judgment, are they?
Well, I think it'll make them more mature.
Getting the right to vote doesn't make you mature.
Yeah, but if they had more decisions to make, it might do.
Well, I don't think it would at all. Are you going to substantiate your point of view, or do you not have the ability?
Yeah,
How old are you?
16.
16?
Yeah.
Well, you don't appear mature enough to put your point of view across.
I think I am.
Then do so. Let's all be proved. We're perfectly happy to watch you do so. Let us hear you give me a reasoned argument as to why 16-year-olds should be entitled to vote.
We'll say I wanted a government, a particular party to get into.
Well, I want a reasoned argument. We know what happens when you cast a vote. I want a reasoned argument. I want you to convince me that you're mature enough to make a value judgment on politics.
Yeah, well, maybe if I
don't want maybe. You're convincing me. Saying maybe doesn't convince me at all.
Alright then, if I was to see, to read to find out about a manifesto of each party, well, it might affect which party I vote for, and I might
Well, it certainly might affect. You've not convinced me yet that that effect would be based on reason, intelligence, and maturity.
If I wanted to vote for a party, because of say what it was,
because it'll
affect me. Well, I just think I should be able to vote because.
And that was your mature way of explaining yourself, was it? I think you just lost. David.
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk about Sunday trading.
Get on with it.
Well, I think it's about time that the act that prevents it was changed because it's out of date.
A lot of politicians disagree with you, but whether they do or not is irrelevant. Why do you think it should be changed?
Well, it's out of date. It was made in Victoria.
Well, just because it's out of date doesn't mean
it's out of date with the time.
Well, tell me about it being out of date. Tell me in what way is it out of date? Why is it wrong? Why is it wrong for there to be one day in a week when people are not required to shop?
Because it's inconvenient. It's inconvenient for the majority of the people.
Well, I doubt that it is, to be honest. What
it would make it easier.
Easier it might do, but what are you actually doing without at this moment, David? What is it you want to buy on a Sunday that you've actually been trying to buy?
It's causing me inconvenience. It's causing inconvenience.
Well, yes, you've said that a number of times. So you're simply saying that somebody should be forced to work on a Sunday, day...
Nobody's forcing them to work.
Well,
it's giving them the right to own.
Well, to be perfectly honest, I think it would force people to work.
I don't think it would. If they want to open, they'll open. Nobody's. It's not
in the terms of one-man businesses or one-person businesses, certainly those individuals would make up their own mind. But the large companies would simply say to their staff, who tend to have very weak trade unions, right, we're opening from Sundays now on, so you lot had better get onto a 5-day fluctuating shift system.
Well, don't you think it'd make them employ more staff?
I don't think it would make them employ more staff, and if it did, that would not be a good thing, because who do you think's going to pay their wages?
Us.
Quite. So if they employ more staff in order to provide us with a 7-day service, rather than the current 6-day service, someone's actually going to have to pay. As you rightly say, that is us. So we will be buying the privilege.
Yeah, but more products will be bought.
Well, I don't see why they will. If you need a packet of soap powder every 2 weeks, then you need a packet of soap powder every 2 weeks. The day on which you purchase it is irrelevant. If you eat 7 main meals a week, you will still eat 7 main meals. What are you going to buy on a Sunday above and beyond what you buy now?
I'm just going to buy exactly the same.
You're going to buy exactly the same? I thought you said it would make more products sold.
Yeah, for a lot of people.
Well, name
Not
one.
for me.
Well, okay.
You can't just name one product.
Well, I'm sorry.
There's a large amount of products.
Name one.
Soap.
Soap. Why are people going to use more soap?
I'm just using soap as an example.
Well, let's see whether the example makes sense or not, because I promise you it doesn't. Why are people, just because, I assume you don't go... Listen, David, which day of the week do you not wash at the moment?
None.
You wash on all the days?
Yeah.
Why are you going to start washing more if the shop down the road opens longer?
Okay. But if
so soap's a crap idea, isn't it?
No.
Oh, you still think people will buy more soap?
Yeah.
Why are people going to wash more?
Look,
what do you buy soap for? Do you buy soap because the shop's open?
No.
Oh, bloody hell, there's a shop open! Great, I'm going to get some soap! You go 1,400 where it's shop at home. I'm not trying to be funny, neither are you, but you are being. You're an absolute prat. No. You're not going to buy more soap just because the pig in shop's open, are you?
Yeah.
You are! Then you're a prat. I told you you were a prat. How do, Martin?
Hello, I'd like to talk about homosexuality.
Go on then.
Well, I'm against it, obviously.
Why, obviously?
Because I told a fellow on the phone.
Well, he doesn't tell me.
No, but I thought I said it.
Well, that doesn't make it obvious either, but go on. Why are you against it?
Because, a number of reasons. The first one is, I think it's unnatural. And I've heard you speaking before on things like this. Could you tell us if, for instance, animals indulge in it?
Yes.
Which ones?
What dogs do.
Homosexual? I've never seen a homosexual dog.
You've never seen a dog having a go, a male dog having a go at another male dog?
No.
Oh, well, never mind. I suggest a visit to the optician would do you a lot of good.
Well, I don't go down looking at things like that.
Well, if you're telling me you've not seen it because you don't look, then fine, I understand that. But you asked a question, I have answered it.
Okay, I'll take it away. Well, the second thing is the diseases and that.
What diseases?
Well, diseases that.
Have you ever heard of syphilis?
Yeah.
Well, does that mean men shouldn't go with women?
No.
Because there are diseases in there?
No, but
diseases like in there? So we've got diseases.
You should take precautions.
Well, okay, you can take precautions and still be homosexual. So what's your next one? Well, we've just destroyed 2 of your reasons. Give us the third.
You haven't destroyed. I'm prepared to your first one.
2 intellectual people we have. Go on to your third.
Well, hold on.
Go on to your third.
The third one's my bum hurts.
Your bum hurts?
Yeah.
Oh, stop talking through it. How do, Dean?
Hello, Alan.
Yes?
I'd like to talk about the raised prices at Preston North End.
Go on.
And the amount of people have been complaining about it.
Well, don't worry about how many are complaining.
Well, I'd just like to say...
Tell me what you think about it.
This is first time prices have been raised for 3 seasons.
So are you in favour of the price rise or not?
Yeah.
Why?
Because the club's got to go with inflation. All time, prices at football grounds are going up. Catering, electric footlights.
Yes, but how much have they spent on players, for example, and improvements? I mean, for a start, if I remember correctly, they don't own the ground anymore. It's owned by Preston Council. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So they don't have all those problems, do they?
Well,
do they or don't they? I don't know. I'm asking you. You are obviously a supporter. You know the ins and outs of Preston North End considerably better than I. So do they own the ground or don't they?
no, they don't own ground.
So do they just rent it off the council?
Yeah.
So the maintenance and upkeep of the ground is not their responsibility.
Well, all right then, no.
So why have they put the prices up?
Oh, why shouldn't they?
Well, you were about to tell me why they should and why it is right and proper, and one of the reasons you gave was the costs of the ground. Well, they're not their costs, so that reason doesn't stand. So what's your other reason?
Well, catering.
You have another reason. Catering?
They've had improved catering at Preston North End.
What catering?
Refreshments.
What do you mean? Cups of tea and the like?
Yeah, hamburgers, crisps, chips.
Are you suggesting that everybody that goes to the football match should make a contribution towards the price of hamburgers, or do you think it should be left to those that wish to partake of hamburgers?
Well, the majority of people do get refreshments at half time.
Well, they don't get them for free, do they? Do they? Do they get them for free? When you go into the ground, do they issue you with a hamburger and a cup of tea?
No.
No, you buy it, don't you?
Yeah.
But some people choose not to buy it.
Yeah.
So why should those people who choose not to buy it, have to subsidise those who do?
Well, you can't tell me there's not one person who goes up North End who says they've never bought a hamburger.
No, we're not suggesting that. Let us assume that Fatty Butler goes on the ground and buys 15 hamburgers. And I go on the ground, Fatty Beswick some would say, but I go on the ground and buy one. Now we're both paid to go in, and you're telling me that the reason, or one of the reasons, one of the two you've given so far, but we've already eradicated the first, one of the reasons that the price of my ticket has increased is so that the facility to buy hamburgers can be provided. But surely Fatty Butler should buy 15 hamburgers at the cost of 15 hamburgers, and I should buy one at the cost of one. Not I should have a little bit of subsidy and he should have a lot of subsidy. To tell me that the reason the entrance fee has gone up is to subsidise the cost of hamburgers, I say to you that is A, bad management, and B, totally wrong. Even I don't think football clubs are that stupid.
Well, okay.
They actually make a profit on the sale of hamburgers, otherwise they wouldn't be selling the bloody things.
I agree with that one.
Good, so that's two reasons you've given me, both of which have been wrong. Have you another one that we can play games with?
They've also signed better players.
Well, it remains to be seen whether they've signed better players or not. They've certainly signed different players.
They've gone up a division, which means they're going to want higher wages.
Well, I don't see why they should get higher wages just because they've done what they're paid to do.
Well, that's the way football is, Alan.
Well, that
Whether
may
it
well,
shouldn't be or should it is,
that may well be the way football is, but those players weren't all on contracts that expired at the end of last season. A very large proportion of them will have been on contracts that have a number of years to run, so they shouldn't cost any extra money.
They shouldn't, but they probably will.
Well, why will they? Because when they go in and say, I want more money, the manager should say, well, you're not having more money, you're already on contract. Take it or leave it, pal.
But, Alan, these players at Preston, they've been given a pay rise.
Why have they been given a pay rise?
Well, obviously the club's felt it within their right to give them a pay rise.
Well, it's certainly within their rights, but it's not the club that's giving it, is it? It's all very well saying, here, have a pay rise, but if you haven't got the brass, you damn well shouldn't give it.
And there goes the argument for John Thomas leaving.
Who's John Thomas? I always thought you carried that in your trousers.
Well, you know what I'm talking about, Alan.
No, I don't. I don't know anything about football, all its players.
Well, you've heard about John Thomas.
All right, I have. Good night. I told you I didn't. You didn't believe me. I'm not going to spend all night trying to convince you I haven't. I've never heard of the guy. As I say, the only John Thomas I know has yellow liquid pouring out of it about 8 times a day. How do, David?
Hello, Alan. I'd just like to say the standard of the British meat pie is rubbish. What do you think about that?
When you say the British meat pie, do you mean in comparison with other meat pies?
Yeah.
What nations are you comparing them with?
Well, France and... Well,
they don't eat pies in France.
They do.
It's a particular British delicacy, if
well,
delicacy is the right word.
Well, I've had a French meat pie.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
How did you know?
What?
How did you know?
How did I know I was eating it?
No, how did you know it was French?
Because I bought it from France.
Well, may well have bought it from France. Doesn't mean it was French.
Well, it wasn't imported.
How do you know it wasn't imported?
Because it had a French label on it.
Well, that doesn't matter. It wouldn't be much point putting a Japanese label on it, was it? The French people wouldn't be able to read it.
I know, but it said made in France on it.
It said made in France on the label?
Well, it didn't say made in France, but it meant made in France. It said in French.
What did it say?
I can't remember now. It said France on the bottom of it.
Well, don't you know French?
Yeah, a bit.
You know a bit? Well, do you know that bit?
Well, I knew it when I saw it, because it said France on the bottom of it.
Well, it said France on the bottom, yes. It might have said you've just bought this in France.
Well, it said something, then it said France.
Well, yeah, well, it might have said you've just bought this in France. That doesn't mean we made it here.
Yeah, but I presume it said it made in France.
Ah, we're presuming now. So when I asked you, did you know it was a French meat pie, and you said yes, what you meant was you thought it was. You didn't know. Well, you can't argue about British pies when you can't recognise French ones, I'm sorry. How do, Rick?
How do, Al? I wanted to talk to you about local comment area. Well, it's more of a warning to people around here. There's a certain person, he's been going around posing as a vet, and unfortunately, he isn't, because he...
Well, it doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, unless you need a vet.
Well,
somebody knocks at your door, says, I'm a vet, can I come in and play with your cat? I shouldn't let them. David?
Hello?
Yes?
I want to talk about the Stonehenge and Glastonbury free festivals.
Go on.
I think they should be allowed. They've been stopped over the last 2 years.
Glastonbury happened last year.
Yes, but they
Well, Glastonbury happened the year before. In fact, Glastonbury... Well, you said, I think they should be allowed. They were stopped last year. I'm sorry, David, you said they were stopped last year. Glastonbury went ahead last year.
Agreed.
Good. Mark, how do to you?
Hello?
Yeah.
I wondered if you could give me some advice about AIDS.
What do you want to know?
Well, I know you can get it through sexual intercourse and all that. I'm wondering, can you get it through oral sex?
Depends who you're talking to.